Hello and welcome to this week's video. I'll be using a red piece of paper with a white on top, and I'm using these Lawn Fawn papers, the 6x6 paper pack, because they have books and sort of school type things. I'm taking off the strip here, the branding strip, and I'm going to be cutting down the white paper. So I'm using the red as a frame around the outside of this paper, and my 6x6 paper has lots of red in it as well, so it looks and matches this paper perfectly. Folding down this corner because I'm following a sketch. I'm doing this page for a crop challenge. So I'm going to be using my photograph and using the Bramble Fox dies. These are the first dies that Bramble Fox have done, and they have a Polaroid frame, which I thought was perfect for this photograph. It also perfectly fitted the photograph. My son fits in this photograph perfectly, and I can still got the writing across the screen there that says off to first lectures. I've covered his face because he has asked me to in the past, and sometimes I remember and sometimes I don't, so I'm trying to be a good mother. Just going through this paper pack just to pick out some pages that go with this, but because I want it to go a long ways, that small piece wasn't going to fit, so I had to use a new sheet. So I'm just going to cut these down because the sketch had paper to the side of the picture, and it was rolled up, and I really liked this this sketch. And funnily enough, it was, as I say, for a crop challenge, and I actually won a prize with this page, so that was great to have won that, and I found that out about half an hour ago. So I'm just using this paper. Now this piece of paper was cut off and it wasn't straight, so I had to cut the edge that wasn't quite straight off there, and I'm cutting all of these exactly the same size. I'm looking at these and thinking there's quite a lot of pattern, so I brought in a smaller pattern here as well. So I'm going to layer these up and try to arrange them how I want them, just trying to look at the colours in the paper pack and see how they fit and go together with my page. And you can see there I've got my camera there with the sketch in front of me, so that I can follow the sketch and see where I'm going. So because I'm going to roll these papers, some of them I'm putting on upside down because I'm going to have them plainer, and there where you roll it you're going to see the page behind it. This would work equally well if you've got double-sided papers, so that you've got a different pattern on the back and on the front, but I really wanted to use this paper pack. So I'm just rolling it with a pencil, making sure that that's fairly loose so that I can get the pencil out, and then I'm popping my glue on there and just rolling it and sticking it in place, finding it getting quite a bit of glue on my hand there and finding it very sticky. Yes, so you're going to see the white end on some of these, and then the others you're going to see the coloured end on them because it's not a double-sided pack. But I quite like that effect. It just gives you somewhere for your eye to rest, and it comes out quite nice. It gives you somewhere where you can put some of your title as well, so that it doesn't get lost within the pattern. So I'm going to fast forward a little bit so that you don't have to watch me do all of these. So I finish the rest of these off on camera and stick them all down, and then we come back in with our next little piece, which is looking at this photograph and working out exactly where the frame needs to go so that I can cut the photograph down, bearing in mind I need to at some point take the post-it note off. And then I'm going to just rearrange these again and look at what else I need to do on the page. I will be putting in some pattern behind these, because if I left it just like this, I think it looks too bland. So I kept stopping doing this page, kept stopping and tapping my fingers and thinking about what I was doing and going back and forward and thinking about my title and making sure that my pages were the right size for this paper pack and for the letters I was going to use. Then I hadn't used any of these typewriters, and I quite like these, so I thought I'd get out some of the typewriters and use a little bit at the bottom there, and then of course I needed to curl that one as well. I do quite like these typewriters. I know they're pretty much a thing of the past these days, everybody using computers, but there were no computers on this page and you get the gist. I decided that I wanted to gut the centre of this paper so that I can put a mount underneath my photograph as well and bring a little bit more of this red into the page. And this is a good way of not wasting the paper. I do like to get the most out of my 12 by 12 sheets, so if I can gut it and use a little bit somewhere else, then I enjoy doing that. So you can just make sure that you don't have to buy 12 million sheets of paper, because I'm sure we've all still got 12 million sheets of paper in our cupboard, but I've got a little bit of this to save for another project and also to mount my photograph on as well. And when you look at the page, you can't tell that I've gutted that out. So I'm just sort of distressing the corner there a little bit, just for when I finish this off. I just thought it would be a little bit nicer if it was a little bit distressed, a little bit aged. So I do keep putting these pages back and forward, trying to work out where they're all going to go and how big this is, because to me this looks too big, which is the other reason for using the red paper to make my photo mount a little bit bigger. So therefore it kind of makes my photograph a bit bigger and gives me a little bit more room to cover up the ends, because I don't like having the dead ends of paper just floating there with nothing behind them or hidden under something. I don't mind the rolls where you've got the curls, but I really don't like the dead space on the left hand side of the page. So this is going to cover most of it up. And you can see me playing around with that one, so you don't see the end of the hexagon paper and trying to work out what I'm going to do. So I did leave this at this point for a little while, thinking about what else I was going to do, and I've come back in and I haven't realised that my lights aren't on, all my lights, so I apologise for it being a little bit dark here. I decided I would use a couple more of the typewriters and just to put on top of the paper, just to make them pop a little bit. I wasn't quite sure what other sort of embellishments I was going to put on this page, if any more at all. I do like to do some pages where we are just doing some paper layering or using all paper embellishments. So at the moment I'm thinking I might just use this paper pack a little bit more and see what else I can come up with. So I'm just cutting around these typewriters. The other issue I had is that the alphabet goes backwards, but it's not a full alphabet, because it actually says, you can see A and you could see D and C, so I didn't like that either, so that irritated me a little bit. So I'm sat here thinking about about that again and worrying about what I'm doing with these papers, which is why I end up taking all of the papers off the page and put a little bit more interest in the underside of here, just to bring something out, because it is just a little bit too lost as it is at the moment. And I remembered to turn my lights on this time. So the technique I'm doing here is I'm using this gesso, which is quite dry. It's quite thick now. I'm getting to the very end of it, but I'm just brushing this on very, very quickly in areas where I think you're going to have a bit of a gap. And I've put some brushos on the page, and I am just lightly brushing these in. Now, for anyone that hasn't used brushos, you would generally put these on a page and spritz them with water, and they do some fantastic sort of sprays, and you get different techniques every single time you use them. I sometimes find them a bit too random, so they really bother me. There's not quite as much colour as I wanted, so I've put a little bit of water on this brush and I'm brushing some more out, and you can see here that you've got little lines that are appearing there on the page, although I've not put any more of the colour in there. So this just gives a little bit more of a distressed look underneath my sheets of paper, and you'll just see hints of this poking out. You won't see the majority of it. I do actually cover most of it up, but you will just see bits of this poking through. So I've put my typewriter down there, and again, playing around with those because I don't like the bottom bit, and I'm still thinking about what it is I'm going to do. But I know my title, so my son's saying that he's off to his first lectures, so I want my title to be Ace It Boy, because I know he's going to do his best and do his hardest. And unfortunately here I did not have a T in this pack, so I have taken the little bit off the end of the J, so my J has substituted a T, the things you have to do when you run out of letters. And I'm thinking about putting the title over the 3 lines, but actually that's not what I originally wanted. I wanted to put most of the title on this empty white piece, so I can move the letters around until I'm happy with them, so that it actually just goes onto the 2 sheets there, and then the photograph is down in place. And I'm just trying to think about the last few things that I might want on this page, and rearranging these so that you can see a little bit more of the colour behind there. And I don't like that bottom bit, it just does not work for me, and I keep moving it and playing around with it, not sure what I want to do. See me there tapping again and again. I got out a few Bramble Fox because I have a typewriter and a telephone and a few bits and pieces that I thought would fit very nicely with the light green colour that is in some of these pages, and a few arrows just to sort of add a little bit more of an embellishment on the bottom here, pointing towards where I'm going to put my journaling. I have this die that I cut out into with some of the paper, and it is just making a pocket. So it makes a pocket on the page, and you can then pop your journaling in there, which is what I did. And this page I did over 2 days, and I forgot to video the last bit, so you won't see me finish off this page absolutely completely. I do decide to cut out a typewriter with a die that I have, and I put it on top of my writing, and the writing is basically the only bit that was missed out on. So I like where these are, so now I'm just lifting up one side and putting some glue so that I don't really move them, because I have agonized about these, and I've moved them so many times that I just pop them on like this. Sometimes when you then know where you want to put something and you take it off, you then move it again when you put it back on, and sometimes I do kick myself in doing that. So I decided to just gently lay my hand over them and do one side of the gluing, and then the other side, just to get them all stuck down quite nicely here. And then I've put my picture in. So I was thinking about all of these things, all of these elements that are going to hide the ends of these pieces of paper. So as you see me putting down this red piece, I'm covering most of the embellishment of the ends of the pieces of paper. This little pocket is going to cover up the very bottom bit, which makes me very happy. And actually I'm going to come in with my typewriters and my telephone. The telephone covers the top bit, so you actually see none of the left-hand ends of these pieces of paper, which made me very, very happy. Here we are, almost finishing off with this one. I decided that I was going to cover up the tiny little bit of the other typewriter. As I said, I am very pernickety about certain things. So I didn't like the typewriter, and I went so that the alphabet was the right way round. We didn't have C's and a D between an A and a C, because that just would not work. I just couldn't cope with that in the long run. So in the end we covered that up. We actually covered all of the ones that were on that piece of paper in the end. That's what I did. But I am happy with the page. I enjoyed the challenge, and I hope you've enjoyed watching the video. And if there's anything you would like to see, if you want to comment below, then please do. You can see there in that photograph, there's my typewriter, which I forgot to record. So I hope you've enjoyed it, and I will see you again next week. Okay, have a great week. Bye.